My name is Peter Westerveld. I'm Head of Technology and Innovation at Norton Fulbright. So my role is both from an Australian perspective as well as I'm part of the global firm technology CEO group. So overall, I think there is a significant amount of change happening in the legal industry, and I think most people are aware of that, and that's why I think you've got this hearing as well. And technology plays a key role in that. And I guess I think a few things are starting to come together. There is a global change across all industries about the role of technology, and that is changing at the same time. And maybe there's a significant link there between some changes in the legal industry, in particular also the Australian industry around the particular models that are emerging. So from that perspective, I think technology is enabling change of how particular models can be delivered. I think in the past, I've been around legal firms technology since I think 1997. I think in the beginning, technology was always seen as something that was enhancing or supporting practices, both from an efficiency point of view. But that changed when particular pieces of technology such as email and so on can be introduced. So it started to replace methods of operation. But a lot of times those method operations were still within the kind of ways and methods of how lawyers were used to doing business. So rather than sending email of letters to each other or to other parties or third parties, it was done through email. So it started to kind of a replacement of some of these processes, but I think the emphasis was on replacement and enhancements and efficiency and the like. That now I think is changing because certain pieces of technology are enabling to have these existing models to be done quite differently. And also I think it's starting to look not only as an efficiency tool, but in particular a tool that allows you to practice differently. And as a result, to do that also in different ways and methods that can benefit your client. So while this is all happening, I think the change that is happening from the client end is quite substantial as well, both for a number of reasons from an economic perspective, but also I think an awareness, and I think that's where the consumer technology has played a big role, an awareness of our clients. What you could possibly do with it and what they expect, what they get in their hands with the phone and how to interact. I guess I think in the time in the 90s that some particular clients and partners and lawyers wouldn't touch certain pieces of technology, but now that is commonplace, and not only from a generational point of view, because it sometimes is so the older people who sometimes lead the charge on it, but they get used to the fact that they can book their own flights and can listen to music and view video streams through their TV, so they're getting quite accustomed to that. So they have certain expectations in the sense of, well, why don't we use this technology also in our businesses? So I think those changes for kind of a number of things all happening together is putting quite a lot of emphasis on that. I think the word innovation and digital and so on is so kind of top of mind of everyone in just about all businesses. So law is not going to be excluded from that. And I think again, at the same time, when there's a lot more pressure to become more efficient, to provide a faster, quicker, and more lower cost service, those kind of things are expected. And technology is going to play a key role in that.
Thank you. Where do you see all this heading? What's the future for the way in which legal services are going to be provided?
Well, I think the big change again is the point that the kind of inflection point of seeing technology just as a way to enhance the way our practice, to be more efficient, or maybe to communicate a bit faster, to pieces where the model of how the service is being delivered and the methods and the structures of how that is done is going to be quite different. So I think at the core of it, I think legal advice is not going to change. It's legal advice. But the method of it and how that aligns. And I think, for example, one of the examples we've done over the last 12 months is we kind of escalate. We've got a method of how can we include associates and summer clerks and so on of particular pieces of work that we might have and escalate that fairly quickly. And we use some a technology method to do that. But I think, again, the tool we use to do that through text messages and so on is fairly commonplace and consumer-type technology. But it's the kind of model change where suddenly we've got some people from outside of the firm helping us with some work that is done and delivered in quite a different way. So I think the models and the business models will change, and I think that's where I think lawyers in general have to kind of go through the process of change in their own mind, is that it's not just simply by their practice and a piece of technology is added to their practice and they might then become more efficient and might do it in a slightly different way. The model of how their practice works is likely to change as well. And as a result of that, there's options of other third parties and entrants coming onto it. I think one key thing to it as well is that the technology itself, and in particular the kind of what they call cloud technology, is that the accessibility to the technology is a lot easier. So that means that kind of other smaller firms or larger firms or non-legal firms or global kind of players have more easy access. So that barrier of entry is reducing because the technology enabled that barrier somewhat to dissipate or to change. And I think that is a key issue as well.
Do you think that clients are driving this change, or are lawyers driving it to keep up with expectations of clients? Or where are the drivers for what is going on out there?
I think the main driver is the client, but I think the client is a big term. I think it's a number of different things, but it's ultimately I think it's the client of your market that drives the main change, and I think they have also driven the change of higher expectations, a lower cost in a lot of the different areas. So I think they're the key driver, and that means their demand creates opportunity, and I think that opportunity is seen. I think one of the other key drivers is that obviously the legal market is seen as an opportunity for other people who are outside of legal if they want to expand and if they want to grow their services. So that there's pressure coming from that as well. But I think the main driver always is coming from your market and from the opportunity it starts to present itself.
Are you finding that the level of comfort that different generations of lawyers have for the technology varies? Are the young ones more accepting of it? Are the older ones less accepting of it? How is it being? How is the profession in those different age bands reacting to the changes in technology?
I think it's very difficult and very dangerous to generalise on that particular question. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, I would say, well, it's the young ones that will drive this. I think I found is that there is an interest right across the different generations. I think, though, is that the real generation, the real digital generation is just emerging, and by that I mean is the kids who are now in law school who know nothing else and have a certain expectation. So I think they have a different view in the sense of how they accept things, and they will drive a certain of expectations of how things are being done, and also some of the opportunities they might see to practice differently. But so far, I think my kind of assumption that the younger people would be better at this is not necessarily always proven, and sometimes it's certainly not the case. I think it depends of how open people's minds are in doing things differently and seeing opportunities and coming up with ways and models of how to deal with that.
Any questions? Are the graduates coming out of university with the right skill set, as far as you're aware?
I think some of them. I think one of the things is that I think increasingly there will be the need for the graduates not only to have some rudimentary skills, but quite a significant ways of thinking that are more kind of more IT, more logic type of based. We've got some developments going where we see that people with multiple skill sets, where they have some understanding, even I think you see that in discovery and so on happening, where if you go into the artificial intelligence type of technology, for you to understand how to find information and how to tune and how to train such tools, you have to have some understanding of what would possibly happen underneath the hood, so to speak, of the technology, but also the kind of logical thinking that is required in that sense. So I've heard the term double deep, where someone has multiple skills, and I think that's a key area where people have multiple skills, and where they have coding or SQL or understanding of data and data analysis and understanding the law. I think those are the areas where people can add a lot of value. But at the same time, I think one of the challenges is that there will be a segmentation of the different tools you might need. If you have a tool that you use to provide a very efficient, kind of repetitive, commoditized, high-volume type of service, the skills you need for that will be quite different than if you have a huge data set that needs to find the smoking gun or particular pieces of information, where you need to have far more of a logical data analytical type of brain. So it's, again, very difficult to generalize, and I think that's one of the key things as well, is what model and what focus are you going to use of what particular opportunities you're going to seek.
Thank you.
Peter's driven large deployments of technology into private practice.
Yeah.
Have you got any thoughts on the change management that goes with deploying some of those systems?
The question is this, Peter. You've driven large forms of technology into organisations. Have there been any change management issues that you've experienced as a result of that? Has there been any resistance, or has it generally been accepted, or is it somewhere in between?
I think your question earlier on about who drives change, my experience in particular with legal firms and lawyers, and I think the notion that lawyers are very reluctant to change. If it's driven by the client, lawyers change very quickly and are very receptive to change. So I think that is the key thing, not only in the point of that is actually where the value is going to be anyway, it's actually also, I think, the key for change management within law firms.
Okay. Justin? Peter, thank you very much for your time. I'm most grateful to you for logging on remotely and talking to us. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay, thank you.